Good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission meeting, January 16th, 2018. We have 5 of 7 Planning Commissioners in attendance. We excuse Commissioners Luthi and Hatch this evening. And we'd like to recognize city staff that are in attendance, as well as Cub Scouts who are here. And we're going to start this evening with Cub Scout Alan Sharp leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please come forward.
Will the audience please rise? Please repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. The first item on our consent calendar is the approval of minutes from January 2nd, 2018. Commissioner Green.
I move that we approve the minutes as listed in the staff report.
Thank you. Commissioner Quinney?
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Green and a second by Commissioner Quinney. Do we have any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Commissioner Green.
I move that we postpone indefinitely agenda item number 4 on the dealing with the Bowler property.
Number 5.
Oh, number 5, sorry. Based on staff recommendation.
Thank you. Is there a second? Commissioner Quinney.
Second.
A motion by...
Could we change that to a date uncertain rather than indefinitely? So, please.
Thank you.
Okay.
To a date uncertain.
Second.
Okay, great. Thank you. So you've accepted that friendly amendment, Commissioner Green, and a second also, Commissioner Quinney. Thank you. All in favor of that amended motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Item number 2 on our agenda this evening, Highlands Master Development Plan, 5701 West, 7800 South. Amended Master Development Plan, Think Storage MVC LLC. Warren Kirk is the applicant. Is he here this evening or his representative? Please come forward, sir, and state your name for the record and present your application.
I am Warren Kirk, and I appreciate being here this evening. It's pretty simple, but again, some of you were not here when we came forward in May of last year, 2017. We have taken and removed, or we are asking to remove 8.1 acres out of the Highlands Master Plan area. The purpose for doing so is the highest and best use for this property, which we are converting to storage, which is in an M1 zone. Been a lot of discussion about the M1 zone because of the depth of this property, because it's been sandwiched between the power corridor, the high transmission lines. We've got several high pressure gas lines running adjacent and through this property. Some of them 36-inch diameter high pressure gas lines. So this property is sandwiched between the Mountain View corridor and the utilities, and is also odd shaped and very deep. So we've asked to remove this from the Highlands Master Plan, which was master planned in 2012. That plan does not allow for an M1 use, and in May last year it seemed to be an overwhelming good idea to continue to move this direction. We've just been stalled with some other things internally, has no reflection on the city. So we're here respectfully asking for that to be forwarded on to the City Council.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Kirk. Any questions for the applicant? We'll reserve some time for you if anything comes up during the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gardner, you have this item for the city?
I really have nothing to add that Warren didn't address at this time, so unless you have questions for me.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Gardner? Commissioner Green.
I just have one question, maybe it's better for the city attorney. We see the Highland Master Plan as this. Do we have any legal issues with carving out that one little 8-acre, for lack of a better term, island out of the master plan?
It's a Utah island.
Yeah, the Utah island.
No, I don't really have any concerns with that because I mean, technically, it's on the edge of the piece that's one side of the Mountain View corridor, so it's technically not completely surrounded. It is kind of on the edge, so to speak. I mean, there is, so it doesn't prevent the ongoing contiguous nature of the remaining portions of land. So, no, I mean, I really don't see any legal concerns, especially where it's right next to or fairly close to the highway there.
Commissioner Hanson.
Thank you. And this was just for Larry. I guess this will come back for a rezone for whatever their further storage unit to us.
This was already rezoned last summer, and so this is just nothing more than changing the map of the Highlands Development Plan. So the rezone was
We'll
accomplished
still
last
leave
year.
it, it'll still become M1.
Pardon me?
It'll still be M1.
Yes, it is M1.
Okay, thank you.
This was noticed as a public hearing, so we'll open this item up to anyone who would like to speak. Please feel welcome to come forward and give your comments. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section and bring it back to the commission for deliberation. Commissioner Quinney.
Doesn't look like anybody has anything to say, so I'm going to make a motion. Based on the information set forth in the staff report and upon evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council amending the Highlands Master Development Plan.
Commissioner Hanson.
I'll second that.
Thank you. A motion by Commissioner Quinney and a second by Commissioner Hanson. Any discussion to the motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously 5-0. Thanks for doing business in West Jordan. This brings us to item number 3 on the agenda this evening, Joint Apprenticeship Training Land Use Amendment and Rezone, 7460 South Redwood Road, General Plan Land Use Map Amendment for 4.04 acres from very high density residential to professional office, and rezone from R312 SHO multifamily residential senior housing overlay zone to a PO professional office zone. RJF Company LLC, Robert A. Firstino is the applicant. Present this evening? Please come forward, sir.
Thank you. I'm Bob Firstino, owner of the properties. There's 2 entities that own these properties. There's 5 lots. We want to consolidate those into 2 lots, a minor subdivision, and also rezone those lots to the business office zoning to allow for this apprenticeship training facility. It's essentially a school for union electrical apprentices. That's what we're proposing to have approved for the property. It'll encompass 3 of the lots. And the other 2 will be one remaining lot, which will be for further development later on. It's not part of what we're going to be doing over there at the moment.
Great, thank you. Anything else?
That's basically it.
All right.
I would say that we have turned in plans for building permit. We've received red lines, which we've responded to, and we're well down the road as far as the permit process goes.
Well, thank you. Any questions for the applicant at this point? Nothing at present. We'll reserve some time for you if you'd like to address anything that might be brought up during the public comment section.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McCandless, for the city, please.
Thank you. Just to orient you with the site, it's located just on Redwood Road at about 7430 South. This is the Majestic Middle School, and then the West Jordan Middle School is located here. To north is the Majestic Elementary School. So the property is about, I guess, roughly 4 acres in size, and it's outlined in the red dashed line. It's currently vacant. There's an animal hospital that's located here just to the south side of the property. As some of you may recall, back in March of 2015, the City Council rezoned this property to an R312 SHO. And what that means is that's a multifamily residential zoning district. The SHO designation means that it's got what we call a senior housing overlay. That property was never developed as the senior housing as was anticipated, and so now the applicant is back in here to rezone the property and amend the future land use map to a professional office designation. And again, that's to accommodate a trade school. So we're talking right now just about about the rezoning and the future land use map amendment. This is just the property. Again, it's designated as very high density residential, and it'll go to professional office. With the rezoning request, they've submitted a site plan. We'll go over this in detail on the next item. So that's what's in front of you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Any questions? Sorry, any questions for Mr. McCandless? Commissioner Green.
I've got a really stupid question. Go back to the one that shows the future land use map, that one. So obviously we're talking about changing the very high density residential to PO, which pretty much matches the rest of the blue. Why, and this is off topic a little bit, but why is that dentist or the vet office still in high density residential? Is that something we need to fix?
I would say yes. You know, at some point when the future land use map is amended,
Okay.
I think that would be a good fix for later on.
I'm just thinking that's something in the future that maybe we can have staff take a look at that and clean that up. But as far as this project, I have no questions.
Thank you. This also is noticed as a public hearing item. If anyone would like to speak on agenda item number 3, please feel welcome to come forward at this time. And please state your name and address for the public record, sir.
My name is Ken Cheek, and I live at 74, I'm on the other side of this facility. All I have is a question is, what is the hours of this facility going to be?
Good question. We'll make sure we get an answer to that. Thank you.
Because I don't know if it's, 8 to 5 or 8 to 9 or whatever it is. I just would like to know.
Thank you. We'll make sure we get that answer for you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak during the public hearing?
Yes, Carl Brailsford. I'm training director for the Utah Electrical Joint Apprenticeship and Training Committee. The previous question, I'd like to address that from the neighbor across the street. It is a apprenticeship training facility. Apprentices are usually in class from 7 to 1:30 Monday through Friday. Occasionally there are some evening classes that involve probably 20 to 30 individuals. And that is kind of the general operation of the facility. Actually, the time in class is earlier than the elementary school, and the junior high is the same time frame for that facility that's proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, we'll close the public comment section and ask Mr. Firstenow if he'd like to address anything that was brought up regarding hours of operation, amount of people that would be there at one time.
Thank you. The traffic study that was done indicated that there would be no significant impact on the current Redwood Road, State Road, that the additional traffic generated would be insignificant and probably not noticeable. It didn't say that in the report, but it said no significant impact. So we don't believe that the coming and going of the people coming and going from the facility will be noticed any different than normal traffic. It's a quiet facility. it's a school, basically. So hopefully that wouldn't be a problem for any of the residential people in the neighborhood. Also, I asked the same question about why the veterinary clinic on the map showed it to be the wrong zoning, and the person I talked to was a staff person, and she said, I believe that might be a mistake. We'll take a look at fixing that. In other words, maybe it's currently zoned correctly, but just wrong on the map. So that's one way to look into that. But,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Any comments among commissioners? Commissioner Green?
I'm actually glad we're going back to this zoning because I hopefully, at least for me, this is the kind of development we want on Redwood Road. And I think this is, personally, I think this is a good fit for what we want on Redwood, what we want on Redwood Road.
Thank you. Commissioner Hanson?
Thank you. I just have a question from the union representative that spoke about some evening hours. You didn't talk about the time of those evening hours that you may be holding.
I'll move that we suspend the rules for that.
Second? I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Rules are suspended. Please let us know the hours that you foresee in the evening.
The daytime hours, 7 to 1:30. Evening hours, typically individuals are working on the job. Typical work hours are 7 to 3:30. We usually hold our evening classes from 5 to 9. And it would be mainly during the renewal cycle of licensing with the State Division of Professional Licensing, where electricians are required to do code update classes, 16 hours. So we may carry probably up to 25 classes per year in the evenings, which would usually be on a Tuesday, Thursday evening for license renewal process with the state of Utah.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Firstino, do you concur with the foregoing? Thank you. Great. Any other comments from commissioners leading to a possible motion? Commissioner Green.
I got to make sure I'm on the right thing. Based on the information and findings set forth in the staff report and on the evidence and explanations received today, I move that the Planning Commission forward a positive recommendation to the City Council to rezone approximately 4.04 acres located at 7460 South from R312 SHO multifamily residential senior housing overlay zone to professional office zone and amend the future land use map from very high density residential to professional office.
Commissioner England.
A second.
A motion by Commissioner Green and a second by Commissioner England. Do we have any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's please vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously 5-0, bringing us to item number 4, the Joint Apprenticeship Training Committee, preliminary and final site plan, 5490 South Redwood Road in a PO zone, RJF Company LLC, and Cabco Horizon LLC. Robert Firstino, again, is the applicant. Is there anything additional, Mr. Firstino, that you would like to mention regarding this item?
I think there really isn't anything additional other than we've worked on this site plan with the city folks and with planning, and we believe that it is everything that they've asked for. We've actually turned in red line responses that have added some items to the plan that's on the board today to comply with 3 or 4 additional items that we learned of during our meetings. And so we think that the site plan is what the city has requested at this point.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Firstino, starting with Commissioner Green.
My question was, the way I understand it, the Design Review Committee had some changes, but we haven't seen those yet. Is that correct?
Actually, that's correct, but the review committee has seen them. They've been turned in with the permit red lines, and I can outline those for you if you'd like me to describe what those are.
Please.
We have added a solid fence to the back property line between us and the schools to the west. So all of the property lines on this, I don't have a pointer, but Ray can show us where that, oh, if I can make it work. So there's a fence now going along this property line, comes to here, and goes up to about here, where then these other properties come off. That's going to be a 6-foot-high solid concrete fence. We've also added a sidewalk here. I guess it's over here, so that people coming along the sidewalk can go into the building without walking through the parking where people are parked. They'll actually have a sidewalk that goes all the way from the door to the sidewalk out on the road. Those are the two major ones. What else did we have there? Oh, sure. The walls of the building, and this doesn't show it either, but on the building, we had to do some relief on the outside wall so that it had some undulation between, some 90-degree angles in and out on the wall. We've added those. They're not shown on this plan, but they are on the plan that we turned in on the red line, if you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you. Any further question for Mr. Firstino? All right, I think that's it at this point. Thank you for the additional information. And Mr. McCandless, you have a continuation on this item?
Yes. Thank you. This is a copy of the new site plan showing that sidewalk connection, that pedestrian connection that's required by ordinance. I think it's just easier to see the landscape plan here. The landscaping meets the current code requirements. I think we got 28.6% of the sites landscaped in this zoning district, 15% of the sites required to be landscaping. The site meets the parking requirements for the use. I think there's going to be a total of 84 individuals. The site plan shows 152 parking spaces, including the 6 ADA stalls. It did go through the design review committee, as was mentioned, and the applicants talked about the requirements that were discussed at that meeting. So we've included a list of, again, this is for preliminary and final site plan approval. And so as part of that, we can't grant final site plan approval until the rezoning and future land use map, unless that's approved by the city council. So, so with that, we also put a number of conditions, recommending a number of conditions of approval that are listed in your staff report. So our recommendation would be for preliminary and final site plan approval, just subject to those conditions that are listed.
Thank you, Mr. McCandless. Any further question for city staff? This was noticed also as a separate public hearing item. If anyone has anything specific he or she would like to say regarding the preliminary and final site plan, please feel welcome to come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll come back to the commission for potential action. Commissioner Green.
I need to scroll. Hold on.
You should be prepared when you hit that button.
I should. Based on the findings set forth in the staff report, I move that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary and final site plan for a joint apprenticeship training committee vocational school located at 7490 South Redwood Road in the proposed PO zoning district, subject to the conditions 1 through 10 listed on page 2 of the staff report, and condition number 11, that the masonry wall, site lighting plan, pedestrian sidewalk, and architectural breakup that were listed from the Design Review Committee also be followed. Did that make sense? Condition number 11 is the masonry wall, the site lighting plan, pedestrian sidewalk, and architectural breakup from the Design Review Committee.
Thank you. Commissioner Quinney.
I would second that, but I was wondering, do we need to include that?
Could you please,
Do we need to include the additional condition that the approval happened with the city council? Is that what I heard you say?
No.
Or is that implied?
You could go ahead and make that as a condition so that there is no doubt.
Okay, I mean, it obviously has to happen, so
Yeah, but we would,
add that as a 12th condition.
we could not approve it if it weren't done.
Okay, and I'll amend that to the 12th condition that the zoning be approved by the city council for the previous agenda item.
That's actually your first condition, isn't it, already?
Did I miss that?
Oh, yeah, I missed that.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, so it's just conditions 1 through 11.
Approved as originally stated. Or seconded.
Great, so we're back to the original motion. Thank you. Any discussion to the original motion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Thank you for your interest in West Jordan, and thank you again, everyone, for coming to the meeting this evening. Do we have any other business items that need to be announced by city staff or planning commissioners? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Any opposition to that motion? We are adjourned till February.